नमस्कार, नाम अशोक व्यास। और जब हम श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की बात करते हैं तो ये श्लोक याद करते हुए जिसमें कहा गया कि गीता सुगीता कर्तव्या किमन्ये शास्त्र विस्तरे है, तो मतलब कि बाकी के सारे शास्त्रों में विचरण की क्या आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि सार जो है वो श्रीमद् भगवत गीता में। और इस बात को अपने जीवन में अपनाने वाले और समझने वाले और औरों को समझने में मदद करने वाले कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट से कॉन्शियसनेस की तरफ कॉन्शियसली जिनका प्रस्थान कह दीजिए या प्रवेश हुआ है, ऐसे हमारे डॉक्टर अतुल चोकसी जी को मैं स्वागत कर रहा हूँ अभिनंदन के साथ।
नमस्ते।
तो, तो एक तो बहुत आपको बधाई हो, क्योंकि एक दिन ऐसा होता है जिसमें हम सब श्रीमद् भगवत गीता गीता जयंती मनाते हैं। तो when we begin with that, and let me get right away to the area which might be relevant for those who are not that much familiar with Srimad Bhagavad Gita as you are. So, I have heard it from you that one of the core teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita involves that one should realize that he is not merely body. Uh, and kindly explain how it it is important to realize that we are not just body, and how will it will change me in terms of whatever role I am playing as a student or a professional or an entrepreneur.
Yes, uh, the, the truth is that we are not this body. To get to that truth, we have to go through through the scriptures to understand that truth. So, the reality is that our existence, whatever we see, is Jagat, and we, what we call I or we, that is our Atman. So, this knowledge is extremely important, and it is the final culmination of all the spiritual studies, that I am not this body, I am a pure soul. So that is the highest teaching. So the Lord Krishna very clearly explains that, starting from the second chapter. He explains to Arjuna that, Arjuna, you are not this body. All these relatives you are seeing, they are not, they are atmans residing in the body. So the fact is that we are the ever existing Atman residing in the body, and body is temporary. Body is a part of Prakriti. There are two things very clearly we all should understand for any progress. So that is called Atman and Anatman, or you call Prakriti and Purusha, or you call it Drashta and Drashya, Kshetra and Kshetri. They are all same terms to explain the Atman as a drashta, and drashya means the creation. So in reality, we are not this body. Body is our equipment through which we see the world. So, but what happens because of our confusion or avidya, that's called avidya, as we associate with our body and makes one entity that I am this body. So our consciousness makes these complex, that this body mind intellect is me, while we are just
Yes,
the
let me interrupt you, because you are also dean of, or you have founded this Academy of Spiritual Sciences, and as a scientist, you go by observation, and then you take certain sample, and then you verify, and then
yes.
if you have the similar result, then you consider that as a principle in general, from layman's point of view. So now, when you are talking that we are not just body and we are soul, scientifically speaking, how do you see this particular aspect? Is it verifiable for anyone?
Yes, it is verifiable in the sense that both these entities have different characteristic altogether. One is ever existing, never dying, never changing component, while other is a ever changing component, and that is the body. So body is just an equipment in through which our consciousness functions. But
Yeah, consciously connecting with Srimad Bhagavad Gita and considering the fact that this was the message delivered, which we also refer to as celestial song over 5,000 years ago. That period has changed. Now we are in the era of not absolute intelligence, but artificial intelligence. And so, what do you think gives you the conviction of Gita's message or Gita's teachings relevance for modern mind? Uh, Maybe refer to any shloka also to make this point clear for us, please.
see, the truth remains the same, whether it was 5,000 years ago or now. The human being is the same. His equipment is same, and what we call Atman is same. And to understand this, you have to take the assistance of our scriptures. And in our greatest scripture in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Himself says that you are made up of two things. That is that Panch Mahabhuta is the one which gives you the body. So there is a sloka there. Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhi Revacha Ahankar iti yam me bhinna prakrutir astada. God, before imparting this knowledge to Arjuna, he starts with this sloka. That made up of five panch mahabhuta, bhumi, rapo, anlo, vayu, kham, then mano, buddhi, ahankar. These three subtle, so eight. These eight components is your constitution. You are made up of this inclusion. It's called apara prakriti. Means it is a power of God, but it is not the highest power. So God says, Aparayam itatu anyam prakrutim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho ya idam dharyate jagat. That this is my apara prakriti or ordinary power. And besides that, my para prakriti, which is a jiva or atman, jiva bhuta mahabaho ya idam dharyate jagat. By these two, I make you see this world and I conduct the affairs. So our physical body, this mind, intellect, and ego, they are also subtle part of a material universe, and only real thing is Atman. So the Atman and Anatman. So except Atma, everything else is Anatman. This is the fundamental knowledge that we need to know that I am not this body, I am Atman. And whatever we can identify as this, you are not that. I can identify this computer. So I am not this computer. This is my hand. So I am not this hand. So whatever we can say, this one, that is not I. My intellect is not as sharp as it used to be. So you identify your intellect also separate from from your Atman. So all those are parts of Prakriti, and Atman is the real thing. So this is the knowledge. Once you get into this, then everything works out favorably and everything appears very clear to you. Like another sloka God explains, there's a Dehino Asmin Yatha Dehe Komaram Yovanam Jara Tatha Dehantar Praptihi Dhira Tatra Namayate. Like he explains to Arjuna, like Arjuna, like you traveled during your lifespan in childhood, youth, old age. Similarly, you will get another body. In that truth, the man of knowledge never gets confused. We know these three stages very clearly. So the childhood died and youth was born. Youth died and middle age was born. So those things are changing. So that is not us. So body and mind, we are not one thing. So
Yeah.
you are real Atman.
I think you explained it very well, and I think the shloka that you quoted, mm, Dehantar, which means like this is not the end. This body,
Yes,
the way
yes.
this form and like while you were a child you looked different, and your
Yes.
aspirations, desires were different, and now it is different, and it will be different. So
Yes, but at the same time, the component that recognizes this, the knowing part, the consciousness is the same.
yeah,
I'm same Atul Chokshi when I was going in the college or in to my office and now. So that is not changing. Body is changing.
yeah. Okay, so
Consciousness,
here is a
everything is
question.
separate. That's
Right.
it.
Right. So, Doctor, here is the question which has the space of confusion for people when they fail to appreciate what the exactly focus should be. Allow me to elaborate. The way you explain, so this going to subtle side, and then this body will go, and you are not intellect and all that. So, then how it will reflect in my performing the role that is assigned to me with respect to the coordinates of family, responsibility, nationality, tradition, etc. And also, the most important, there are many problems. One problem is the problem that people fail to clearly see where should they go in terms of the purpose of life, and that leads to many people getting into the state of confusion, and some people get into depression, etc. They have everything but they don't have that which we refer to as peace. So how do you see Srimad Bhagavad Gita helping us navigate life in the right direction?
So the right direction you will only get when you will understand the fundamental truth. Otherwise, you will be working with whatever the circumstances you are exposed to. You will be doing one after the other, and you have limited lifespan, and the lifespan will run out. So this is very subtle philosophy, subtle science. So spiritual science is not that you can experiment and so okay, how do you know this is not body and this is Atman, and this, you cannot experiment like that. So it is you have to follow the rules of the spiritual science, and then once you follow that, then you know that I am assigned this work, and deeper you go, it will become more and more clear. So see, I was assigned, or I happened to become a cardiologist and I was required to do work as a doctor. That I must do it to my best of the ability, and that is the called my dharma or my duty. And for that, this body is the equipment, and this body is not going to be there same forever. So in the limited span that we have to make the best use of our existence on this planet.
To make the best use, we should make sure that our energy is not dissipated. And many times, when I look at the word anasakti, or as Arjuna declares at one point that nashto moha smritir labdva. So help us understand, one, what is it that is referred to as moha, and also the second part where when he say smritir labdva, meaning now I recollect or now I remember. So what is that smriti?
That smruti, see, we had forgotten that we are ever existing Atman. We had forgotten, and we made a friendship with the body, and we made oneness with body, and we started calling Atul Chokshi this body. We identified with our intellect, mind, physical appearance, as a nationality, and so forth. So we forgot the real I, or Atman. So that forgetfulness was regained by knowledge to Arjuna at the end. Nasto moha smutir labdva tvat prasadat. With your grace, God, with your grace. It's a nasto moha smutir labdva tvat prasadat mayachut. Sthito asmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam. I have no doubt now. See, the problem comes because of delusion. Delusion is called called moha, moha or delusion or false knowledge. They are all same. Moha, delusion, false knowledge, bhranti. All those are the different words. Taking what we are not to be what to be that is called moha. So that false knowledge is gone, and now new knowledge that I am Atman has arrived, and and Atman was there already. I did not know. So now I know that I am pure Atman, and when I am pure Atman, I have nothing to be afraid. I am complete as it is. It is Purna. It is complete. Whatever we feel that we are incomplete is because of that avidya. Like we are learning Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and all the miseries are because of kleshas. And these kleshas are five different kinds or obstacles. That is avidya. That is first is avidya, means ignorance of who we really are. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, abhinivesh. These five kleshas are the cause of all our miseries. So the treatment is vidya. So unless one goes to the spiritual path, he will be working in the delusion for the rest of the life. And he will be happy when the circumstances are favorable, he will be unhappy when they are unfavorable. When the time is running out, he will be miserable. And all these dvandas, the sukha, dukkha, labha, hani, all those things, he will be traumatized by those things. So the treatment is the knowledge.
Yeah. So treatment is the knowledge, and what you were mentioning, I was also thinking that there is a reference of samata, sama, shatraucha, mitraicha, and then in English we use the word equanimity. Now,
Yes.
when you try to see how to develop that sense of equanimity, one problem is many times we don't want to develop that because the way we are creating our experiences or likes or dislikes play an important role, and yet one feels miserable if there is a loss, whether it is of any kind, monetary loss or in terms of losing some person, etc. And then people try to seek solace from Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. So talk to me about both sides. One, is it practical? Have you seen somebody having arrived at that sense of equanimity as is being referred by Lord Krishna? And if one is looking at Shatru and Mitra or enemy and friend with equanimity, then will it help him play the role that is expected of him properly, or will it take away the kind of emotion which he should have to deal with the enemy or to be of service for friend, etc.?
No. So we see the things different because of our limited consciousness. So to come to that status of sthit pragna or equanimity, one has to progress very slowly and understand the whole spiritual science. Once you understand, then it becomes very easy to build it up further. So like we said, what is Atman and Atman? Then you say that what I am seeing is the Jagat. This Jagat is very kaleidoscopic. It is going. It is and ever changing. My mind is ever changing. Circumstances are ever changing. So these things you have to deal with that, you know. So this dealing with the favorable circumstances and unfavorable circumstances is called dvandas or pairs of opposite. That sukha, dukkha, labha, hani, success, failure, satru, mitra, these are all pairs of richness, poverty, they are all dvandas. So God wants us to be beyond those dvandas. Those dvandas are all our creation. So that is the way we interpret. Raga Dvesh is a dvanda. So So we label that I like this thing and I hate this thing. So that is these are the dvandas. So once you have the proper knowledge and you work, that's called sadhana. So then you will understand one after the other. It is a process. You don't get become a doctor in one day, no. You don't become a yogi in one day, but there is a absolutely right method and science. That's what in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. That's what we are doing.
So now, as you mentioned, if there is a science, there is a method, then the question of how much of the role is being played by Anugrah or the grace of the Lord. But I want to come back to, as we you mentioned about Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is also Yoga Sanghita, if I say it, because every chapter it is
Yes.
yoga, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, Purushottam Yoga,
Mhm.
Dhyana Yoga, Arjuna Vishal Yoga is the way it begins. So, and at several places, Bhagavan tells Arjuna to become a yogi.
Yes.
Now that term, how would you apply it for the modern mind? How would you see Dr. Atul Chokshi
Look,
becoming a yogi means what?
I'm as modern as you can get, in these age and days. I studied the finest science and I practice finest science, and I live in this materialistic world in America with all the gadgets and everything. But these are our tools. But our real peace of mind rests in our understanding. So these tools are not going to make you peaceful. You will be disturbed and unhappy and wanting person without that knowledge. Even though you have a modern gadgets, education, and all the assets, but without the spiritual knowledge, only spiritual knowledge is called vidya. Everything else is called avidya. You can be a brilliant lawyer or brilliant doctor, but spiritually, if you are not developed or evolved, then you are ignorant, spiritually ignorant. And as long as we remain spiritually ignorant, we are subject to getting traumatized in this world. So every human being wants happiness and peace of mind and bliss at all times, but that is not possible from the worldly things, living and non-living. That we have to make up 100% that this world, living and non-living components in that cannot give me a lasting peace. Period. That is rajas. Rajasastu phalam dukkam. God says these rajasic activity, it will end in dukkha, miseries.
So, Rajas, to as we move toward the concluding part of our conversation, one word which I think also sums up the teaching of Lord Krishna is to make life a yagna. So share your insight on what would you say is the practical aspect of making your life yagna to a modern man, maybe a youth who is starting his work or any professional? So because it needs to be interpreted by each individual as per his situation or condition or so when we read that make life yagya, what how should we understand it?
No. If we really want to help our youngsters or young mind or modern mind, then they have to be exposed to spiritual science, and they have to gradually develop into that spiritual field. Otherwise, just getting the secular knowledge will not help. For the ultimate goal of being fulfilled, being complete in the life, being happy eternally, it cannot happen. So the problem is that we have ignored that spiritual science totally, and even the parents and the people in charge, they don't give any importance to the spiritual science, and that's why we fall behind in spiritual growth. And though we are financially and intellectually very well developed, still miserable.
So does become making one's life a yajna involves taking sharan or sharanagati, or how that kicks in that your life is becoming
Yes,
a yajna?
it is with the proper understanding. Yagna means selfless activity. To do the selfless activity, you have to be evolved spiritually. So, unless you are on the track and spiritually uh, getting enlightened, then this feeling of selfless activities will come. Otherwise, in a worldly circumstances, you are focused only on me and my progress, my business, my education, and my family. There is no component of selfless activities in day to day life.
Wonderful. So I appreciate you started off with self and then you took us to selfless activities. So there has been quite a interesting, enlightening progression in this conversation. I appreciate your presence for this special dialogue dedicated to the celestial dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So, with lots and lots of good wishes to you, sir. Pranams. Thanks for joining us.
Very, very welcome.
And
Thank you.
thanks
Thank
to
you.
all of you for being with us with lots of good wishes. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.